Welcome everyone to the Indian Express of 28th September 2022. So this is today's newspaper. It is a little blurry, so make sure that it does not create some discomfort. We see our first headline is after Jaishankar swipe at US over Pakistan F-16. Blinken says only to fight terror. So we have seen this news yesterday that Indian side have shown concern about US helping Pakistan to sustain in order to maintain these aircraft. So these are the fleet, F-16 fleet that are given by the US to Pakistan. And yesterday, India said that we know where exactly these F-16 are used. These are used in order to target India. So what is the response from the US? We will see. A day after External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar said that US decision to provide 450 million sustenance package for Pakistan F-16 was not fooling anybody. Now US Secretary of State Antony Blinken said it is not a new program. So definitely it's not a new program. It started in 2005-06, not new. It is the money is given for maintenance of these fleets. Said that it was a program for F-16 that Pakistan already had, and it was Washington's obligation to provide military equipment to ensure that aircraft are maintained and sustained to bolster Islamabad's capability to deal with clear terrorist threats from both Al-Qaeda and ISIS. So what does this statement means? It means that US has provided military assistance and also provided money to maintenance and sustenance of these F-16 in order to fight with terror threats, not to fight India. So it is in no one's interest that those threats, which means these terror threats, be able to go towards with impunity, which means they should not be left with freeness. There must be a clear consequence for their actions. So that is why these F-16 are maintained in order to fight the terrorists. Now both sides have cleared their matter. We'll move to next page. So these are relatively more ads. Then come Express Network. It has more of crime-based news. Again, city page. Then this comes government and politics page. It has only one headline important, that is PM have attended Abe's state funeral, and he said there that India is always missing him. So this is important. No more thing will come in exam from this news. We'll move to Express Network. Here one news is important. EWS reservation will not cut into existing quotas. This is by the government to the SC. That means government has told the SC. So apparently seeking to allay concern that the quota for economically weaker section may cut into reservation for backward classes. So there is a concern that if you give additional quota to this EWS, it can cut seats for gender category. So what the government has done, it has added additional seats of 2,14,766. and said that adding seats in the education institutions will not affect the respective quota. So it said that it has added more seats, so gender category will not be affected. Now you see, the government said that contemporaneously with the constitutional amendment, a decision was taken. So what was the constitution amendment? It was 103rd Constitution Amendment, which gave 10% quota to EWS. So this decision was taken to ensure that seats available to candidates from reserved category and open category are not impacted in absolute numbers. So it will not impact. This is so this EWS quota is given to increase admission in all branches of study to provide for 10% reservations for this EWS quota. So you see, this is it. They have in fact started more seats, additional seats are created. So this will lead out to more reservation. That means this 10% will not now affect gender quota. So coming to this page, we have seen last day, which means yesterday, that Supreme Court will start live streaming from today. And also there was news that Supreme Court will have its own platform other than YouTube. So it started. Now tech support in place. Supreme Court takes first live stream step, and it have had 8 lakh plus views. So it was truly a historic day, and officials of the apex court said that step will go a long way in overcoming the barriers of the distance and providing citizens from every part of the country an opportunity to watch the court's proceeding. So this means what? This means more transparency, and also it will help those who are teaching and learning law, because there will be a visual medium to learn from the experiences of real life courts. So both are helpful, and also people will be more involved in the constitutional related cases that come in the courts. Now come the explain page. There is a news of NASA spacecraft. So why is this news? Because there was an asteroid that was going to, in fact, not going to hit Earth directly, but it was a possibility that it just can hit. It was a threat to Earth. But what NASA did is that it slightly collided with that asteroid and changed its path, which means it altered its orbit. So now Earth is safe. NASA has successfully slammed a spacecraft into an asteroid, likely altering its orbit. So if it is moving in circular orbit or elliptical orbit, then slight change or slight push to the asteroid may change its orbit and can miss its target, which was Earth. So this asteroid poses no threat to Earth, but the success of this star mission has demonstrated the capability of scientists to save a future day. Remember, it was an asteroid hit that is believed to have wiped out the dinosaur. So there is one theory that dinosaurs were wiped out from the Earth because of asteroid hit. It was believed. So it is a kind of stuff sci-fi movie and science fiction are made of. An asteroid hurtling toward Earth. So you may have seen a lot of these stuff in movies that this is going to happen. Even a movie came, the 2012 Earth will get damaged and get extinct, and human being managed to execute a last minute plan to deflect the asteroid from its trajectory and avoid the collision. So this is in movie, but now this script has come to real life. On Tuesday morning, NASA, the US space agency, for the first time enacted this script in real life. Just that the asteroid in question was not headed toward Earth. So it was not directly heading toward Earth, but there was no danger of any collision. But who knows? But a spacecraft which was sent especially for this purpose last year was made to collide with asteroid which was orbiting the sun 11 million kilometer away from the Earth. So 11 million kilometer away from the Earth, which is about 300 times the distance to moon, which means you calculate distance between Earth and moon and then multiply it by 300. So this was the distance from this asteroid, and the name was Dimorphos. It comes to Earth while going around the sun. From that orbit it posed no threat to Earth. So it was moving around that orbit, but who knows that if some other asteroid came in its path and uh, it would have collided with that asteroid, then maybe there can be a possibility that this asteroid could have hit Earth. So the collision with the spacecraft therefore was a technology demonstration exercise, an experiment to assess the capability to hit an incoming asteroid in the future, with the objective of deviating it from its trajectory. So this was an exercise as well. So in order to test that whether humans are possible to deviate an asteroid or not. While the hit was successful, pictures were broadcast almost live. Its result in affecting a deviation in the asteroid's trajectory will be known only after further observation. So there is more data to come. We have seen this hit was successful, but a lot of data is going to come. Ground-based telescopes as well as space missions will study the orbit of this asteroid in the coming weeks and months to assess the impact of the collision, which means how much the path have deviated. This will be assessed in coming months and weeks. So now danger from the asteroids is real, though there was no threat to Earth from this particular asteroid. So as of now, present, there was no danger from this particular asteroid that has been hit, and NASA says that there is no real danger to Earth from asteroid for the next 100 years at least. But asteroid collisions are real and this can happen. So it was an asteroid collision that is believed to have wiped out dinosaurs. This is a theory. And also it is believed that most other life forms at that time, about 6.5 million years ago. So it is believed that 6.5 million years ago an asteroid came and it hit the Earth, and that is why dinosaurs became extinct. As recently 2013, an asteroid entered Earth's atmosphere and exploded over Russia, about 30 kilometers above the surface, causing damage to hundreds of buildings and impacting human beings. So what exactly occurs is that these asteroids have less possibility to struck directly into Earth. But if they are pointed to Earth, they burn themselves with a lot of friction because of the air. So small asteroids, millions of them are estimated to be orbiting the Sun, keeping the Earth's atmosphere fairly regularly, but they burn out due to air friction before they reach the surface. So you may have seen these lighting in the atmosphere, in fact in the sky. These are actually burning asteroids. A lot of asteroids come, but most of them burn out. Some of them do reach the surface, but they are not large enough because a lot of matter has already burnt. So they are not large enough to cause any harm. Danger is from the bigger asteroids. The one that made dinosaur extinct was about 10 kilometers in width. So you can just imagine that 10 kilometers in width is a lot bigger. According to NASA, an asteroid that big comes to Earth only in about 100 to 200 million years. So a lot of gap also, 100 to 200 million, a huge gap. But the smaller ones are more frequent. There is possibility that an asteroid about 25 meters across would come once every 100 years. So the one that exploded over Russia in 2013 was a smaller one. It was about 18 meters in diameter. So these small ones can come every 100 years. Russia one that exploded in 2013, it was just 18 meters, and that is why it does not create a lot of problem. So the problem is that we know of only a fraction of asteroids that might be present in space. NASA says over 26,000 big and small asteroids are currently known and tracked. So over 26,000 are tracked. About 30 new ones are discovered each week these days. So there comes new asteroid discovering every single week. But there are potentially many others we don't know about yet. So the ones that we know we can track, we can deviate it. But what about others that we don't know about? These could surprise us. 2013 asteroid was undetected till it entered the Earth's atmosphere. Thanks that it was small. What if it was big? Now, what was NASA's DART mission? Tuesday's mission was called Double Asteroid Redirection Test, or DART. The targeted asteroid Dimorphos is actually a moon to a slightly larger asteroid called Didymos. So there is a Didymos that orbit around, and this asteroid too have a moon, which means a moon orbit around this asteroid. So this was that small, you can assume it. While Didymos is 780 meters at its widest, its moon Dimorphos is about just 160 meters. So Dimorphos orbits around Didymos, and this two-body system goes around the sun. So how interesting is that? Asteroids too have moon. One of the reasons scientists chose to target Dimorphos was because of its relatively shorter orbit around Didymos. A deviation in this orbit was likely to be more noticeable. So that means if you have shorter orbit, if you have a small circle, then if there is some change, you can notice it in the circle. But if it is a big circle and you just do some change to a slight curve, then it will not be more measurable. So small circle and change in that small circle is more easy to measure. Thus easier to measure than say if Didymos itself was targeted and an attempt was made to measure the change in its orbit around the sun. It will be more difficult. So DART mission was launched in November last year. Collision is likely to have created a crater on Dimorphos. So this will be measured in coming weeks and months, that how much is the change in axis, how much is change in the orbit, as well as what is the effect on that particular asteroid. Now mission is not over. While this spectacular part of the DART mission ended on Tuesday, so lot ended today, mission is complete, it's successful. This is just the beginning of the planetary defense mechanism that space agency is trying to put in place, which means a mechanism to save Earth, to defend it from coming asteroids. Hitting a distant object in space is not a novel achievement. It has been done earlier, and not just by NASA. The anti-satellite tests carried out by a few countries such as India have demonstrated several times the capability to strike at and destroy fast-moving space assets with remarkable precision, which means India has done it too. India has also hit and in fact changed the path of these fast-moving space assets with remarkable precision. Considering the vastness of space, space is so massive, it is so big, and also there is a lot of speed and distance that is involved. These anti-satellite tests are probably more precise than attempting to hit a bullet with a bullet in mid-air. You see, a lot of precision is involved. Just imagine that you shot a bullet at some glass, and then another bullet is going to hit that bullet in mid-air. How much precision will be required? A bullet is immensely fast, and this mission, this hitting of this mission of hitting asteroids is more precise than this hitting bullet. So a lot of science and minds involved. But setting up a planetary defense mechanism to deal with asteroid collision is fundamentally different from anti-satellite strike. So both of these are different. Asteroid collision is different from anti-satellite strike. Man-made space assets, almost all of them in the near Earth orbits, are extremely fragile. So man-made space assets, for example, space stations, these satellites, these are in near Earth orbits. These are extremely fragile and can easily be destroyed, or at least rendered useless by even minor impacts. So there are a lot of instruments that are and equipments that are within that satellite. If one instrument get in fact a sudden, or in fact a minor hit from any space asteroid or something small dust particle, then this can cause impact. The key is to manage the hit and the objective is achieved. So how to in fact not let any smallest particle not hit the satellite, because a lot of money is involved. These missions are not simple and cheap. These are way more costly. Crores are in fact invested in these satellites. So one hit can impact it a lot. It can make it useless. So that is why this technology is very useful in order to save our satellites. Preventing asteroid hits is in a different category altogether. Asteroids are anything but fragile. Most of them are hard rocks and could have masses of thousands or millions of tons. So these are debris left from the space. That is, when space was in the making process, a lot of debris was left. You can assume it like when a home is constructed, a lot of debris like brick, sand and other things, concrete particles, these are left and then these are cleaned. So in the space there is no cleaning mechanism, so these were left in the space and they were just orbiting around the sun. Most of them are hard rocks and could have masses of thousands or millions of tons. Spacecraft, even though moving at very high speed, is unlikely to destroy it. So think of it. Spacecraft is moving at very high speed, but then comes from front the millions of tons of asteroid. So it cannot destroy it. But destruction is not the objective. What is the objective is to change the trajectory. Anyone do not want to collide with the asteroid. One just want to change its trajectory in order to safeguard the earth so that it does not collide with the earth. So the attempt is to transfer enough momentum of the moving spacecraft during the collision to make a slight change in the trajectory of asteroid. So you may have heard of the formula which is in physics, that is conservation of momentum, m1 v1 equals to m2 v2. So if mass is more of 1 m1, which means if m1 is more and v2 is more respectively, then there can be a collision that can change the trajectory. So in order to maintain that momentum, so what we have mass of the asteroids in millions of tons, and we have v2, which means we have speed of our satellite very fast. So in that physics we can change the trajectory of that asteroids. So this slight change would get magnified over long distances, and the context of collision with Earth would result in deviation significant enough to guide it away, which means to move it away, to change its trajectory. On Tuesday, the DART mission was made to collide head-on with Dimorphos asteroid, which is estimated to have a mass of few million tons. In other cases, a head-on collision might not be the most efficient, as there is greater chance of shock being absorbed. So you think of a massive rock, just think of it, and satellites are way too small. it just have to just change the trajectory. So if you do the head on, just think of a wall and a person. If a person comes with great speed and it wants to move a wall, then wall will absorb the shock. So striking in a corner to make the asteroid spin or wobble might turn out to be a more effective way to deflect it from its current orbit. So striking in the corner will be more effective. So you can also assume, think of a steel ball, think of a massive dense steel ball, and then comes another steel ball, for example, but a smaller radius. If the steel ball, small one, comes to hit a larger one head on, then maybe that steel ball will not, the big steel ball will never move. But what if the steel ball, which is of a smaller radius, hits the larger one just in the slight corner? Then there is a chance that this large one will move a slight. So in space, if you imagine, a slight movement is very crucial, because in the long run it can just change its path with a more distant factor, because there the distance is not in kilometers, it is in the light years. A lot of things are involved in this collision. So striking the corner will be more effective, but this dart was head-on collision. There are several factors to consider. For example, what is the size? What is mass? What is composition? How is the nature of orbit? And also the probability of a collision with Earth. So it is these kind of studies that the DART mission has opened avenues for. This is just a beginning of the effort to set up planetary defense system. So all of these factors are to be considered, and then this is the future to save planet Earth from any coming asteroid. If this technology is achieved, then this can be effective in planetary defense system. So this was it. It was very nicely explained. We'll move to next page. This is a sports page. More of this. Then comes economy page. So non-person data regulator after consultations. This is by MOSIT. So there are two kinds of data: personal data that can reveal the identity of a person, then there is a non-personal data. For example, survey of some 1 lakh people done. So this is a non-personal data, it does not reveal the identity. So this non-personal data regulator will be set up after consultations, and consultations from whom? So you see, a body proposed by Ministry of Electronics and IT to act as a country's non-personal data regulator will be formulated following a series of round table and public consultations. So these are the consultators: who? Industry, consumer groups, government agencies. So first there will be a consultation, then this will be set up. So in May, the ministry has released the draft National Data Governance Framework Policy, which proposed to harness non-personal data available with the government by startups of the country. So why this non-personal data is required? Because startups need data in order to promote businesses as well as do other stuff to their businesses. Now there was a framework policy that was released, that how these non-personal data will be given to these startups. Now the draft proposed the creation of an India Data Management Office. So this will be this is proposed that this will be created, this India Data Management Office. You should learn this. This is very important, that this office would manage and set standards for the flow of such data. So this will manage and set standard that how this non-personal data will flow, and this office will act as a sector's regulator. So what is a non-personal data in its most basic form. Non-personal data is any set of data which does not contain personally identifiable information, any information that cannot tell the identity of a person. So this will be set up, and they said that we will get consumer groups, innovators, technology experts, representatives from big tech companies such as Facebook, Twitter, Google, Instagram, etc. These are big tech. Government ministries, also agencies in a room, and then discuss how this IDMO should be like. So all will make sure with coordination and cooperative effort in order to make sure that how this office would be like. So once finalized, once all this discussion is done, the IDMO is set to play a key role in dictating how startups could gain access to non-personal data housed within the government. Then this IDMO will make sure that how startups will get the access to this non-personal data. So the body will be in charge of designing and managing the India Datasets platform. So it will maintain a platform that will process requests and also provide Indian researchers and startups access to the non-personal data sets. So one will request, for example, startups and most researchers also require some data for their research. So they will request this office, and then they will evaluate, analyze, and then provide these non-personal data sets to the requester. So this is it, I think. Then comes this this is about Infosys, something which is not that important. You just have to learn that India Data Management Office will be set up. Next come the word page. So there is a gas leak in Russian pipeline into Europe. Stoke sabotage fears. So there, I'll tell you in very short that two gas pipelines have 3 leaks. So Nord Stream 1, Nord Stream 2, these 2 pipelines have some crack in between that released the gas, and you see the picture. Gas bubbles from the Nord Stream 2 leak the reach of the surface. Now there is speculations that this could be intentional, and also there are speculations that this could occur for by chance also. Next news is about Lanka to back bids of India Japan for permanent UNSC status. So India wants this UNSC status, permanent status, since a long time, and that is why what Sri Lanka is trying to say, it's saying that it will back the bids of India and Japan. So it will support India Japan for becoming permanent members of UNSC. What is the statement? Also Japanese Foreign Minister thanked this person Vikram Singhe, who is the Prime Minister of Sri Lanka. He said that appreciated the support extended by Japan to Lanka. So this was from Vikram Singhe. Actually he thanked Japanese Foreign Minister, and that is why he is appreciating the support extended by Japan to Lanka on the international stage, and expressed the government willingness to support both Japan and India's campaign to become permanent members of the UNSC. So this was from the President's office. Sri Lanka has a president, Vikram Singhe. He thanked Japan and also backed that it will support to the campaign of India and Japan to become permanent members of UNSC. Next is Taliban deputy calls for reopening girls' school. So you may have seen that there was a ban in school going for girls above 6th grade. So what was the reason? So United Nations called this ban shameful. Also international community has been wary of officially recognizing the Taliban. No one has in fact recognized Taliban because of its works and deeds. What is the reason for opening these schools? They say that uh, actually they want support from the international community, so that is why they are trying to do best in order to be in the good books of other countries. So it is very important that education must be provided to all without any discrimination. Plus they are saying that women must get education. There is no Islamic prohibition for girls education. So that is why they are trying to do it. They say that there is no Islamic prohibition for girls education. This is the reason, actual reason, that they want support from the international community.